Hey guys, today we have Sucheta with us. So she is going to talk about the importance of mindfulness in today's journey. So hi,
Hi,
welcome to the channel
thanks for having me.
anytime. So before we start, can you tell us more about yourself?
My name is Sucheta. I'm currently a yoga teacher. Born and brought up in Dubai, actually born in Abu Dhabi. So I've been a Gulf kid. And then I went abroad for my education, came back, worked for a few years, and then decided that there has to be something more in life and started my yoga journey.
Okay. Before yoga, what were you doing?
So I was actually in the marketing field. I've done several things actually as I was working before and figuring out myself. I was working through college, but once I moved back here, that's when I went into marketing. And I've worked for a training company. I've worked for events. I've worked in hospitality, jewelry as a marketing professional.
Okay. You said you were continuing your marketing career. What made you
Yes.
do that shift?
Marketing and events is quite a, ruthless kind of job sometimes. I think you must know about that. Long hours and everything like that. And also, at a certain point of time, I kept wondering if that's it. Is that all life has to offer? Just these long hours. And I was really seeing people around me were falling very sick, like my managers and above, and especially in hospitality, which is like that's even worse because you're working through the holiday season, you're really really long hours, and they would end up going into the hospital emergency room, and the lifestyle diseases were so many: hypertension, diabetes. And I was looking at that and I said, okay, because my favorite answer in an interview used to be, when someone asks you when you go in for an interview, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So I was a very ambitious person. I still am, different ambitious. So I used to say, I'll be where you are. So, basically I'd be the next manager in or whatever. And then I thought about that answer and I said, I don't want to be where they are now because in the hospital. So that really made me think, and I had already started practicing a little bit of yoga through the gym and everything that I was going to, and it was different because I came like doing a lot of the group classes which are fun, like attack and Zumba and dance and body combat, which was all like aggressive, and I thought I was getting my frustration out and everything. But yoga had completely different answers, different feelings, what it made you go through, what you released and what you came back with, completely different level. So that's when slowly I was like, okay, fine. I took a break first and foremost because it had already been, since I'd been in the US, I'd already worked at a very young age. I started really young, so I was already into a decade, and I was like, okay, I think I need a break. I just need to figure out where I want to, because life had just happened. So I said, okay, let me reassess and see where I want to go. And that's when I went into yoga a little bit more. And that was another part of the journey, how to come into yoga teaching, because that's not a decision you can take lightly. I went back to India, stayed there for a year, and that's when I started meeting some more teachers, and they guided me very nicely, and they said, take your time, don't get into that in a rush, because it's a calling. It's more of a spiritual calling, and this is not something you can just get a degree in, and it's a big responsibility. Yes, the certifications are there today, but it's a responsibility to take care of somebody else like that. So then I think things just started falling into place. I just started really thinking about, okay, what do I want to do? And I started looking at the yoga teacher trainings, and everything just started, when things are meant to happen, they just sort of flow. So that's what happened.
Okay. So when you moved from your profession to your passion, at the end of the day, you still need this financial support. So how did your marketing experience help that?
Whilst I was doing my yoga teacher training, I kept working part-time in marketing. Okay. So that supported me a lot. So I could choose my own hours. It was very good, and I actually ended up working in a healing center.
Okay.
So it blended very nicely, that I was doing a mix of things that made me who I am, and at the same time it let me explore yoga and teaching, at the same time earning. Of course, I had to dip a little bit into my savings. It happens when you start moving into your passion and all of that. But definitely having the work going on and getting a certification where I was only doing it on the weekends. So it took a longer time, but at least I didn't have to just pack up and go and sort of figure it out on the fly. Here it was a more planned movement over
Very
a period of time, very steady with income. Maybe not at what I was earning, definitely not, but at least it was something to keep me going.
Okay. No, what I meant was, when you had your marketing experience, how did you use it to your advantage to market yourself as a yoga
as a yoga teacher? So I think what marketing does is it helps you talk very well, right? So I think that has helped more in my yoga teaching, because you understand different personalities, you understand different people. The marketing exact side of it, which is what I was doing in terms of, at that time digital still hadn't become so big. So I was still doing a lot of like email marketing, and so having that sort of idea, which is good even for my own business, because that's definitely a hat you need to wear running your own, even as a freelance yoga instructor. You need to know all of that. But I think what it definitely has given me is the ability to talk nicely about yoga and explaining it to different types of people. I think that's where the marketing experience has been helpful.
Okay. So how is it following your passion?
It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's got its good and its bad. There are positive things and negative things. The positive thing is that you're working for yourself. So it's one of the best feelings. So whatever hours you run working for somebody else, you're always complaining about that, right? But here you'll actually put in more hours and love it, because you know that it's something that drives you. It's something that keeps giving back to you. At the same time, it's also something that can get you very tired, also because there's no structure, right? So you have to be very self-motivated in terms of how are you planning your day, what is a routine like, are you turning up as a professional to your own work. It's very easy to start working in your pajamas, but that's something that you can't allow to happen. You need to show up professionally. You need to show up also when you're working in a career. Like for me as a marketing professional, I knew I had to do only marketing. But when you come into your passion, you have to do everything. So you even have to do sales, and that's something I don't like. Like, you don't call it sales, but you do need an aspect of it, right? So that's not, so you have to really also do the things you don't like. Also, it's uncertain. There's no fixed income. Yes, you can take a holiday anytime, but there's also, you may not earn every time. So that's a big thing to take in as well. Benefits are not there, so there's all these, like you'll have to, there's no safety net. So sometimes I think a lot of people don't take the plunge into their passion, although they may be passionate about many things, because of these things. Like, it's literally falling off that cliff and edge and just saying, catch me, I don't know where this is going. So I think that's difficult, and that happens several times. It's not something that you can just say, okay, that's it, now I'm safe. That doesn't happen. But that's, I think, there even in the work scenario today.
Yeah.
So I would say that. So I think it takes a different, it takes a very motivated personality to be able to do your own passion and to make it successful, resilient, and keep going. Like, there might be many times you hear no, you have to keep learning. Like, I know I'm learning now with digital marketing. That's a huge learning curve for me. Like, what Instagram, what are you supposed to be doing, how to put this material there? But luckily I've got help around, and I keep on learning. So you have to be open-minded that you learn, because that it's not just, okay, now I'm in my passion and that's it, I don't need to do anything more.
So when you said that you hit these roadblocks when you were following your passion, have you ever thought that, that's it, I just want to go back to my normal job and have a safe?
Never, actually. I don't know whether I'm just very blessed and fortunate that the work has been steady, and it's something that I've constantly loved to do. It's not something that completely stopped and I had to be like, no, now I need a job, I just can't survive without it. That hasn't happen. So me personally, no, but I do know a lot of people, having said that, who have maybe jumped into their passion and maybe it hasn't been the right time, or responsibilities came up, right? Like, let's say somebody's sick in the family and you have to start giving over there. Now running your passion means you're not earning at that income level of what you were, so life is happening. So it's okay, I think, also at the same time, that your passion may happen in different stages as compared to somebody else, and that's completely fine. Running your passion has to be like you have to persevere, and like you said, be resilient. You have to also be patient and just go with the flow sometimes and be like, okay, now I need a job, I'll come back to it again, but don't give up. That's what I'd say.
So now moving on to yoga.
Yes.
How big of a change do you think yoga will bring into someone's life?
I think it's personally majorly transformational on many levels. Your mind, your body. I do think the level of transformation depends on the person who's coming in, and how, because there's one thing that I always say, it's about you showing up on the mat no matter what. So that discipline is required. So like I said, discipline in passion, discipline is also required in yoga. And once you discipline yourself to show up, at least do it for 6-8 months like that, and then it just becomes part of your life. It just becomes lifestyle. Then it is not a chore as such to make it up there on the mat. So once you do that, the transformation is just endless. It can be anything.
Okay. So we hear a lot of talk about mental health and mindfulness these days.
Yes.
So how important it is to prioritize mental health in this day and age for both students as well as people working?
It's very important. I think everything starts from the mindset, you can say. If you start your day, I think everybody should try it out and see. If you start your day saying that it's going to be a beautiful, positive day, and no matter what comes my way, I'm going to be able to overcome it or deal with it in the best way possible, or whatever those goals are, you'll ensure that no matter what is happening, those are the things that is happening. But instead, if life is happening to you, that means that you're overcome with, oh my god, now there's traffic, oh my god, now I have to get to work, I'm late again, and now my boss is going to scream at me. There's a completely different attitude and also result of your life. Your life is going to move in very different tangents depending on how you are thinking. So that's mindset. That also comes into mindfulness, because if you don't want to have that mindset, then you won't be mindful, right? So mindful is, what's the difference? It's that you want to be able to realize when you want to make a change, and that's not easy, right? It's not easy to change mindset, but mindful is all about just coming into that moment and being like, okay, how I realize I don't want to be there, how do I change it? How can I make this something better? And that's just being mindful of the moment, mindful where we are. And that's why we say become mindful, not mindful as in you're completely full of thoughts and things are just happening and it's a mess. So I do think it's important. I think mental health has taken a big, it's become very popular right now, and I'm glad people are talking about it. So the stigma is not associated with it anymore in terms of mental health. And there's mental health also ranging from low-level anxiety, which is, the butterflies you get before maybe doing something big, which is also good. It releases, the good things for you to be able to do better. There's also high-level anxiety, which means you can't sleep at night. There are panic attacks. There's depression. Now, this is stuff that is, you don't necessarily need medication for it, but if you do yoga, if you practice pranayam, if you have a routine that's set, then you can overcome these things. So it is very important in this day and age, especially with our lifestyle. A lot of, especially when I go out and even talk to the corporates, the employees there, I know the rise in lifestyle diseases is why. It's because of stress, which is again related to mental health, again related to mindfulness, again related to mindset.
That is very elaborate.
Yeah.
Thank you. So when it comes to telling people about the importance of mental health and yoga and how yoga helps it, so how do you do your business development when entering into corporates?
As in, how do I business develop regularly?
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
How do you basically pitch it to corporates? Because obviously not a lot of people are aware about it.
Yes.
And they wouldn't understand in the first place if you're going and telling, okay, I want to do a yoga session for your company, but they wouldn't understand. So how do you make them understand or make them aware?
Okay, so I think yoga has a lovely foot in the door already because it's very popular right now. So I think everybody wants yoga. Well, maybe they don't understand the mental aspect and all of that. They do know that yoga works. So that's a great thing to go in with. That just you can say sells itself automatically. Also, I think the government initiatives, especially like right now, there's the fitness challenge. There's also a lot of focus on things like being healthy and work-life balance and being the happiest, happiest city, country. They've had chief happiness officer, so they're realizing well-being at work is also important. So that's usually the way that I'll try to approach corporates and be like, well-being is a huge topic, and out of them yoga is one of the ways in which, and of course yoga also leads to breathing, also leads to meditation. So it's a very wide door that people will understand and they'll want to have at their corporates.
Okay. So if you can give a simple trick to whoever is listening on how to de-stress their life and handle stress, what would it be?
Okay, so the best tip I have, very simple, is a gratitude list. If you're grateful, think about it, if you're grateful in the morning or grateful through the day, and it becomes part of your habit, then no matter what is going on, you'll even understand that the challenges are there to teach you something or to take you to the next level of your life, because you cannot avoid stress, you cannot avoid challenges. There's no magic trick that's going to say, okay, now I'm doing yoga, now nothing's going to, unless you move into the Himalayas. I always say that if you become like a rishi, go sit in the Himalayas and meditate, nothing will bother you. But when you're part of this kind of life, city life, any life where you're working and you're interacting with so many people, there is going to be stress. Even during the holiday time, there's stress. Diwali time, there's stress. So, you cannot avoid it. But I think, for example, this again comes back to mindset. So if you say that, oh God, people are always, after me and nagging me. So you can take that in the negative connotation that, oh, it's nagging, I don't like it. Or you can take it, oh, people care about me. I'm so grateful that people care for me, So that changes it.
Okay. It's basically shifting the mindset. Being in the present and grateful for what you have.
Yes, and it also grounds you and brings you in the present. That's absolutely right.
Okay. What is the best compliment you've received for your training?
The best compliment I've received for my training. So it has to be that, people, I think there are many. So, but the most common one, it's hard to pick out a best one, because I think when you see people light up from the beginning, in the end of the class as compared to the beginning, that itself for me is the greatest compliment. So maybe it's not that, because some people don't communicate, they don't come and talk, and that's completely fine. But as long as I can see that they're smiling easier, or something made sense, or just stress leaves their face and they just walk out feeling like, oh my God, wow. Another compliment also is for someone who doesn't know yoga at all, or there's so many misconceptions about yoga, for example, and I'm always trying to break those, right? So that's especially what I try to do on my Instagram. Yoga is for females. This is something only females. Men are not supposed to do yoga. And I'm like, what? Yoga is only for flexible people. No. Yoga is only for young people. No. Yoga is only for thin people. It's like, no, there's nothing like that. So let's say that I go, especially in this corporate scenario where I'm meeting so many types, diverse personalities, backgrounds, religions, and they're like, we don't know what this yoga is at all, and they're too scared to try it, and they're like, we don't understand it. But at the end of the session, when they're like, wow, now I understand why yoga is important, and if that's shifted in 45 minutes to an hour, for me that's the greatest compliment.
So again, what you said was very insightful about yoga. It's the same for mental health also. People say that men don't open up for mental health. I think that's the most prevalent topic. So what is your take on that?
My take on that is that they will open up. They just need to be given a safe space and maybe a technique that works for them.
Okay.
Which, maybe they're not the talking type. And that's completely fine. Even if that's not gender based, there might be ladies who don't like opening up and talking. That's why yoga is maybe a safer space where you come into a room and you're just practicing. There's no real talk about your feelings and this sort of thing, which can be very daunting for not only men, but I think various
People
types
in
of
general, yeah.
personalities who are introverts. They might not want to be like, I want to talk about my whole life now. So anything that is a safe space they can. I think it's improving. The younger generation of guys, I feel now, are a whole lot more woke, you can say, than the previous. I think they didn't have an opportunity to talk. It was understood gender way that the gender bias was there, that no, men are supposed to be stoic
Yeah.
and strong and not emotional, and women are emotional and nagging. So those are breaking now. So that helps a lot.
So could you elaborate one incident which made you feel that you're actually making an impact as a yoga trainer?
It happened just recently, actually, that I got an inquiry from somebody who said that I have known one of my students who I've been training for 3 years now, and I've known her for 10 years, and the change in her is remarkable. She's changed as a person, she's changed mentally, she's just, and it's not that there's nothing going wrong in her life. We can see that, maybe life is not as great as it should be, but she's totally unperturbed by it. And I think this is all thanks to her yoga, because I know one thing that she's been doing regularly is yoga. So for me, that was, oh my God, because you're seeing the effect over so many years. And that's what I'd said in the beginning as well, that maybe you won't understand it if you go to yoga for a month. But when you really have that discipline, it can change you completely as a person. And I went back to that student as well, and I thanked her a lot for just constantly showing up on the mat no matter what. And she was like, yes, I feel it too. I feel that I have changed as a person, and things don't bother me as they used to. So again, this leads back to the mental health through the physical health, and
being
changing and being present and becoming mindful.
Okay, so this is the last question I ask everybody this. If we were to meet 1 year after today, what should you have achieved to say that you've been extremely successful? This has been a successful year.
So currently I'm trying to really set myself up as a proper, you can say, freelance business person. So my 1 year goal is to absolutely have that set, and successful means in that I should be able to run all of it properly without any issues in terms of, because being a freelancer, some months you earn well, some months you don't. So it would really have to like hit into a stable path here and becoming really stable, I guess, that I can
more
run
like a
that.
business.
Yeah, becoming more, I don't like saying the word business for yoga as such. That's why I'm not, I don't like,
Okay.
yeah. But yes, I guess maybe, yeah, business and yoga, if there's like a nice word for that. So I don't want to lose out who I am and the teaching, because everything is the magic on the mat for me still. This is just a way to make sure that still happens in a better way.
Okay. Thank you for the
Thank
interview.
you. Thanks so much, Ajmal.